Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos, I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing, a large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap deal teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, standing in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or right, your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, Kaleb, here is your video lesson. What I'd like you to do here at the end of your lesson, I'm going to attach your raw hitting video so you can see in totality all of your swings. What I really would like you to pay attention to is take a close look and make note on each pitch of the location of the pitch and where you hit it. We want to always keep in mind as we're moving forward, you know, the goal is to be a consistent hitter. You always want to practice hitting the ball gap to gap at, you know, 18 to 20 degrees upward trajectory, just as a matter of practice, so you can hone in on that and make that, you know, what your body is aiming for in the swing, so that when you get in the box against live games, you know, that's kind of what your body is used to doing. But also look at the consistency, you know, of your contact. Are you hitting it flush? Are you not hitting it flush? You know, where are you taking an outside pitch? Where are you taking an inside pitch? Just pay attention to that stuff as close as you can, because as you move forward, that's kind of the stuff that you want to tweak and perfect and things of that nature. And then I'm also going to put your pitching tape in there as well, bud. So let's get to your action plan here. Okay, so here's your action plan. You know, to progress at something, to practice and improve and actually, you know, make progress in something, you've got to know what you're working on, when you're working on, what you need to be working on when and how often. You need to know the important things so that every time you step in the batter's box or in a batting cage, you have a goal in mind of what you're practicing and why you're practicing it. So that's the importance of an action plan. This is the action plan that I have for you. I strongly suggest that you run this by as many people within baseball, hitting instructors, other coaches, Diamond sports people, Saints coaches, people outside of there. You need to form an opinion based on the knowledge of swing, you know, mechanics and things of that nature, and a lot of things that you can learn on our website and on YouTube and other places. But you need to make knowledge-based decisions that you're aware of, and then come back and make, you know, if your action plan after studying all that stuff is different than this, great. If it's the same, great. But you need to get yourself an action plan. So again, you know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you might not know where you end up. So this is the plan I've got for you. The One of the biggest thing with all our players, and it's not uncommon in youth baseball players, but the ability to start and initiate the swing correctly by laying the bat backwards and turning the triangle is so very important. And you do have a little bit of lateral movement in your takeaway that makes you more rotational, or puts your swing on a flatter plane. So, you know, I'm going to point all that stuff out here, and you can, you know, drink it in and form your own opinions and run it by your hitting coaches. But this is an area that that all of our players, and all youth baseball players for that matter, can improve on. So, but I happen to think in your case, you know, consistency and hitting pitches in the extremity within the zone, for example, inside pitches, outside pitches, high-low pitches, you literally murder, you know, a middle pitch, you know, and it appears that once the pitches get inside or outside, your contact rate and rate of flush contact goes down. And, you know, there's reasons for that. And, you know, I'm going to put a whole bunch of ideas on here, and you can ask around to other folk and see what they think. But I think taking the bat and entering it into the zone correctly on a consistent basis is going to, you're probably going to improve tenfold just doing that. But this is a very important step in the swing, and it's something that if I was you, I would visit it, very vigorously and take a look and form your own ideas and go from there. Um, I don't know if you remember when we first swang with you, this last summer, I mentioned you looked a lot like Don Mattingly. It looks like you were crouching over, and Don Mattingly kind of looks like that, but your spine angle gets down into the mid 55-degree range, and I'll talk more about that later, but you're awfully bent over there, and I do believe that's affecting your swing in certain ways. A lot of swingers are 60 plus degrees in their angle. But again, there's been successful elite hitters that do bend over near where you're at. So, Don Mattingly's not far away from you. Again, that's one of the things that made me think about, comparing him to you. But I'm going to show you what a lot of different hitters do and go from there. Your leg kick is backwards and then forwards. The leg kick, you know, for a hitter to drop down on the ball, a lot of times you say you drop down on the ball, you attack the ball downward. That's more of a look of a guy's lifting his right leg, or his right knee will come back and up and then down and out. And a lot of our hitters on our team here just move it backwards and forwards. It's completely linear, So I'm going to show you all the different comparisons there with your leg kick, but I'd like to see you adjust that and try to find something that's comfortable for you based on all these different ideas and implement something like that. The other thing here, you're using pine tar. You said that felt better for you. Uh, but there's also the topic of just altogether loose hands and wrists. And you appear to be a little tight in them. I don't think it's a big deal. All I'm bringing this up for is that, something else might feel better. So let's look at all those, and I'm going to show you what some other people are doing and give you some ideas that you can practice and see if you can find something that's a little bit more comfortable. But the bottom line is the looser the hands and the wrists are in the swing, the easier your movements make the bat do what it's supposed to do. If you're stiff in the wrists and the hands, it's going to affect the way you swing, no doubt about it. So there's that, and then your load. I'm going to dissect your load and give you some ideas of some, how other people's load. But, I think there's some improvement and gains to be made in load there in the load. So we're going to visit that too, as well as some other stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'm just going to roll this so you have tape of yourself that's in slow-mo, so you can just look at each point of your swing here. And know what it looks like in each phase of the swing. Okay. So the first thing I want to take a look at with you and get it out of the way is your leg kick. So let's start you from the beginning here. Okay, so there you're kind of in the ready position. The pitcher's on the mound. He might be set, but he hasn't started his wind-up yet. And then he starts to wind up and you start your moves. But take a look at your right leg and your right knee. Your right knee starts to move back. And you don't go very far back, and that's totally fine. I'm actually for a minimal leg kick myself. But of course, we know in the major leagues, there's guys with huge leg kicks and there's guys with no leg kicks. So this is just a matter of finding what works for you. But if you look at your knee, it starts traveling towards your other knee. So we're going to call that a knee-to-knee leg kick. You're back, and now you go forward. You pick your foot up, you move it forward. Okay, so essentially you have a knee-to-knee leg kick. Straight back, straight forward. Straight back, straight forward. Okay, here we have you mocked up with Mitch Haniger from the Mariners. And as you see, Mitch takes his right knee up to and near his belt buckle. So it's back and up, back and up. Okay? Okay, so again, we've got Mitch going back and up. And here you are in your ready position going back and out, back and out. Sorry. Here you are going back. So there's your ready stance, and you go back. So you can see, the difference traveled and the direction of travel of his knee is much different than yours, okay? And again, I'm going to show you some leg kicks that are no movement. So the issue that I'm thinking of when I'm talking about how you come back is not necessarily the distance, but the direction more than anything, FYI. Okay, so there's Mitch and you. Okay, so once his knee is all the way back, he's gone from his ready position. He lifts his knee upward and rearward. And this is what he looks like going forward from there, okay? Down and out. Down and out. Okay, so Mitch goes from down and he goes back and up, and then he goes from that position to out and down, okay? Out and down. Okay, and we have you back, and you go straight forward. Again, it's linear, okay? Okay, and here's what I meant by earlier when I said it's not really the travel that matters in your leg kick to me personally. it's the direction of it. And here's what Mitch gets out of, and a lot of hitters get out of, a leg kick. If we roll him, I've got a line right now. He's in his rearward position. His leg kicks in his knees almost as high as it's going to get, and back as far as it's going to get. But as we roll him, as he comes out and down, you can see the hips kind of moving first there. It's kind of like a pitcher that gets that kind of cock and hip turn thing going on. Kind of cocks it and loads it and then throws his hip out there just a little bit. You'll see that. Okay. See how he's got that hip thing going on. Kind of cocks it, loads it, and then moves it out. But anyways, he comes out and down right there. See his belt buckles right in that range. Again, you know, a lot of coaches, you'll hear them say you know, attack the ball downward. You know, this kind of gives your body the up to down motion that I think a lot of hitting coaches talk about. So, boom, and right there. Starts here, finishes here. Here, here. As we look at yours, your up to down doesn't change with your knee, and it doesn't change after your foot touches down and you've taken your full stride. You're in the same position with your torso and your belt buckle for the whole swing. Okay? And I believe the biggest benefit to this movement is added power, but it, you know, essentially what's happening and the benefit in the swing is this downward motion is distributed to your feet, which then generate a large amount of torque to turn the swing. Okay? So, you know, there's some differences in what's happening with you and him. And I'll show you some other hitters here so you can see some of the, you know, even the guys with the big or the small leg kicks still manage to generate the same force. But they're more, you know, if they've got a small leg kick or no leg kick, then they're getting this drop with their hip and the way they move their body. So one way or the other, they're getting a downward action, which is thrusting through momentum towards their feet, which then gives them the torque to go out towards the ball. So the overall feeling is you're forcing yourself to the ground and then you're sending that energy out at the ball. Okay, that's the overall benefit of doing it this way. I think this is one of the biggest benefits. So here we have you both at contact, and if you take a look at this angle between the left knee and the foot, and it's degrees to the ground on that angle, you see Mitch Haniger is at 14 degrees and you're at 28 degrees. So what that really tells us in a biomechanical sense is that A, through the leg kick, he's, you know, sucked himself to the ground, and in that angle you can tell, and just by the degrees of it, that he's, you know, pushed a little bit harder here. If he's lower to the ground, he's going to be able to push a little bit harder. The more vertical you are here, the less you can push, right? If you were pushing a refrigerator, you'd get your body down and low and push. You wouldn't push the upper portion of the refrigerator, right? So that just tells us that he's getting more torque from his lower half. He's getting more out of his lower half. And as strong as you are and as hard as you hit the ball, you know, believe it or not, a lot of these little things are going to add to your exit velocity and how hard you hit the ball. So there's just some differences between you and Mitch. So here's Don Mattingly again. I'll show you why you remind me a lot of him, but here he is while we're on this particular part of the dissection here. Again, you're at 31 degrees, Don's at 23 degrees. So FYI. Now I'm just going to roll Don's swing. And the reason he reminds me of you, I think, on the most part is watch. Here he is in his ready position, and here he's going to go to load. Watch the way he drops back. He doesn't really bend over. He just kind of, with his leg, drops back onto his left hip. Okay. But it's that action from here to here that really reminds me of you. See that? There you're a little more straight up. So you're, you know, I think bending your shoulders over and your back over a little bit more than he is there. And again, we'll talk more about spine angle. But just so you can see it, the difference again in where the knee goes when coming back is right there. Again, he's taking his knee to his belt buckle, okay? And then from his belt buckle, down and out, down and out. It's coming down on the ball, so to speak. And there's the downward drop that he's getting, okay? When his knee is in its highest position, his belt buckle's there, and he drops it down to there. Okay, here's Nelson Cruz, who really does not have a leg kick. He holds his foot, his right foot back, kind of like you do, but all he does is move it a few inches forward so his feet are parallel with the plate. And then all he does is set the heel down and twist. It's more of a timing mechanism that he uses that initial movement for. Okay, so if we take him out here, you can see he's back. All he does is lift his foot in, and the pitcher hasn't released the ball by then. Okay, so it's just a timing mechanism for him. So this is essentially his load. And so without a real leg kick where he takes the knee to the belt buckle or some variance of that, he drops down and comes down on the ball through his hip movement. Okay. I mean, he's twisting a lot of different things there. The knees flexed in and it flexes out and all that, but, you know, he's, with his legs more than anything, dropping into the swing. Okay. So again, minimal leg kick, so he's getting that drop from just different types of movement. Okay. And here we have a picture of Albert Pujols. I don't know what other people might think, but he's probably one of the top one or two, no worse than 3 or 4 hitters that have ever played the game. And if we roll him, you'll see that his ready position, now the sequence of the swing is the way I explain them so I can verbalize them to you guys, is you got your ready stance, which is, you know, where the pitcher's on the mound, he may be set, but he hasn't started any movement. You go from ready to load to trigger to pulling the hands to the power V and follow through. That's kind of just so you can understand when I bring up these words what part of the swing I'm talking about, so we're on the same page. But you'll see here power. Albert Pujols is ready and loaded in the same stance. This is him. He does not move or distinguish between the two. He doesn't turn the left elbow back and pull the bow. He doesn't move his hands backward or arm bar. He doesn't twist his torso anymore. Albert gets his load when he starts to launch. He kind of, you'll see, he just lags a little bit there in his body, and he's turning his hips and everything comes through. So his stance has pretty much got all the leg he needs. He just speeds up his hips and then the body comes around. And he is an absolute masher. There's not many people that have hit in the game with a lot more power than him, including the steroid era guys. So again, you know, the fact that you don't move downwards, not a death knell. It's not going to keep you from being a big hitter, but I would certainly explore, you know, take in what we talked about on those other leg kicks, see what you want to do, see how you want to do it. But see, the difference between you and Albert and where he gets his power is right there. He is this, I call this 50-50 equal opposite. He's got the back leg in a position where if he were to lift his right foot here, he would fall forward. So he's raked aggressively forward. And the right leg right now is keeping that power back. But when he takes and turns his hips, okay, he's coming out that way. He's taking this hip this way. And that's where he gets his power. But he couldn't do that as effectively as he does it if he was not in this stance with his legs, okay? As we take a look at your legs, you know, you move back there and everything's on your left leg, all your weight, everything. And the tilt from your body is, you know, pushing that weight back there as well, okay? So again, you know, even if you're going to be lighter on your right foot, I am a big believer of better balance in the ready and load position myself. and I've heard Alexander talk about it. You know, in fact, that day he showed all the hitters. I don't know if he made it to that practice, but he showed a picture of all the hitters in a almost similar position, in a more balanced position, more like Albert has it here. So those are just some things with your lower half that I'm seeing. And you know, if you look at your whole swing here, you're up here, you come back, and then you just go forward. So it's back and forward. It's more linear. And you twist pretty good there when you come down. Looks like you're getting decent torque. I just think there's, you know, if you used your load a little bit differently in your leg kick, I think you can get more out of it. So there's some. Okay, so that's enough about leg kicks in the lower half. Let's look at your load. So you're in the batter's box, you're in the ready position, meaning the pitcher's set. You're pretty close to load, you know, but you're not fully loaded at that point in time. When he starts his movement and he starts coming at you, that's when you're going to get fully loaded. And if we take a look here, you're both at the point right before you start moving your hands, or what I like to call the trigger. When I say the trigger, that means the point when your arms and hands, but more importantly your hands, initiate the swing and what they do with the bat. But just to take a note on a little something about this here, you can see how, you know, how Mitch looks here right before he moves his hand. It looks as though, you know, he's just, you know, you're forward and you guys are in a similar position, but it's just got to look and a feel like he's kind of walked away from his hands a little bit and he's ready to snap. You kind of look a little bit more gathered still. You're not ready to snap, you know, as hard as he is. But just a few notes on this. You can see here that your bat wrap, we're going to call this bat wrap, which is used to create leg in the swing and momentum. The position of this is important to both bat leg and bat momentum, which translates to bat speed. You know, they say this phase of the swing is where you generate early bat speed and how you take it away. So the position of it before you take it away is awfully important. But you know, you can see here that Mitch has got the knob of the bat pointed at the catcher's feet. Very common term, very common benchmark in this area. And you can see you're a little bit more shallow. You're not quite back to the catcher's feet there, so you can tell the difference in the angles of the line. You can see the difference in the height of the hands. You can see your left elbow is further down than his by a little bit. He's got his left rear elbow up a little bit more, like pulling the bow. Okay. This here is how Aaron Judge looks. Right there we can see the amount of difference in bat wrap. Okay. Also look at the difference in position of hands, elbows, the whole deal. Aaron does what, this is my favorite one, but a lot of people arm bar or get closer to an arm bar, meaning a straight arm with their right arm in this situation. And again, not, that one's better than the other necessarily. Ken Griffey Jr. arm barred or came close to arm barring. A lot of good major leaguers do arm bar, but I'm a big fan of loading the 90, loaded with your triangle ready to go. But, there's different ways to do things, but just take a note of all the differences you see here. So real quick here, though, I just wanted to make note of this. Here's a hitter with a little bit bigger leg kick. He comes just above the knee. It's out a little bit in front of the belt buckle. Okay. Justin Turner's one of the guys with the larger leg kick in the game. But as you roll them again, there's the out and the down, down and out. The height of the torso changes, okay, as I was talking earlier. His belt buckle's up here, now it's down here. So he drops, the height of his torso, good 6 inches or so. And I also want to note here as we go back to the topic of a load, that after watching all the pros hit, your hand position, his elbow is different, but if you look at your right arm and his right arm and the position of the bat, he's the closest I can find to what you do, okay? If you look at the angle of your bats there, he's very similar to you. In fact, you might even be a hair more wrapped than he is. But the similarities I see is from there to there with you guys. So a lot of coaches say this, and if you watch film, it seems to be true. The position of your hands is usually right off of your armpit, but you can see both of you guys are, oops, just a little bit below your armpit, so it does look very similar in that sense. Okay, so that's Justin Turner's load. Justin Turner's an excellent hitter, really good at getting the ball on path. Hits for average, has some power, but he's a clutch hitter, and he is a master of consistent contact and putting the ball in play because he's on plane and he's quick. A lot of good things about his swing. So, if you're going to watch video of anybody, make sure you include him. Okay, here you are with Barry Bonds. Okay. There's the position of your bats. Again, not too terribly far away. He's a little bit more legged, a little bit more wrap, but not a ton. What I like a lot about Barry, and again, I'm a fan of this style of hitting, but if you take a look at his shoulder and elbow, they're outward versus down. But again, a lot of people teach being down, so that you're already there. That's where your elbow goes, is downward anyway. So if you turn the triangle and pull the shoulder and the right elbow correctly, it pulls you right out of that. But I believe for getting that tension, Again, a critical function of the load is to get tension, just like there was a rubber band connected from your right hip to your left shoulder. You know, you can get that by walking away from the hands, or when you start the hip, you leave the left shoulder back. A lot of players do that and don't do any upper body twisting. But, you know, I'm a big fan of, you know, to get that load, I like to pull back with the left elbow, just like you're pulling back a bow. Maybe even just a small little twist with your 90. You don't move the shoulder individually, but you twist, you know, you take the whole 90 and you twist it. Okay. So, but anyway, there's Barry Bonds. So here's Sawyer, comparing you to somebody on your team here. You can see the bat wrap and the amount of leg and everything right there. Okay. And I just want to explain to you what I mean about loading the 90. If you take Sawyer back here, okay, he's going from his ready position to his load. If you look at the relationship of his elbows and his hands here, he doesn't really, you know, he doesn't really stretch out an arm bar here to make that straight. Okay, more or less he's just taking the 90 as is and stretching his elbow behind him. See, it's not going backwards, it's going behind him. And now he's in that position when he's loaded of, you know, elbow and shoulder on the same level, same height. He's more or less just turning his triangle and loading the 90. So as far as a feel and something to try to practice and see if it works for you, is just remember, don't change the relationship and position of the elbows and the hands, just turn the whole thing. Turn it like so. I call that loading the 90. Lot of hitters do that, but some arm bar and do some different things too. This is kind of one of my favorite positions here. If you see the bat leg created there. Okay. Okay, Jason, we've covered your lower half. We've covered your load. Let's talk about your trigger real quick. So when you are at a point in your swing where you're ready to swing, your upper half anyway, of course you've moved your lower half already towards the ball at that point in time, obviously, but as far as your upper half and what you do and how you do it, how others do it, you know, there's flexibility that we have with the leg kick. There's flexibility with, you know, a lot of different things in the swing. You know, we talked about the leg kicks and the different types of leg kicks. There's different positions and different ways to load and unload, but the actual unloading of the load, which is what I call the trigger, there's not as much flexibility in that. I don't think. I believe it should be done primarily one way as far as what is happening and how it's happening and what it's doing to your bat. Again, I believe that once you're loaded from that position, you need to learn to lay the hands back and turn the triangle simultaneously and swing with your back, and I will explain what that means. But if you don't enter the bat into the zone correctly, that has a huge impact on your swing. If you don't do that in a certain manner, it really doesn't give you a chance to hit a lot of pitches correctly or at all. So I think this phase of your swing is highly critical, and I do think it's off in some areas, and that's affecting your consistency of contact. So I just want you to keep this in mind when we're looking at this phase. It's really important to understand, and again, just like everything else, but don't take my word for it. Run it past Alexander, run it past Chris, run it past Kenny, run it past, take it to the high school baseball coach at your high school, and just say, hey, what do you think of this? Get some opinions on this, and then come back and again, have an action plan of where you want to go and what you want to do in this area. But I think this is just highly critical in every swing, and that's again why the snap drill is the number one thing on everybody's action plan. And this is after watching their tape. I don't just throw it up there because I know it's hugely important. Everybody on the team can improve at it. And again, that's not uncommon for youth baseball players. So I don't want anybody to feel bad about it. It's not as though you're way behind the curve. Again, a lot of players in life learn this stuff much later, So, you know, again, it's nothing to feel bad about. It's something to actually feel good about because you're getting and learning about this stuff much younger than a lot of people, which gives you time to do something about it and get ahead of the curve as far as your baseball development. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here we have you on a ball that you really hit uh, very well. Okay, so this is one of your better swings, all said. But let's watch right here how you drop the bat in the zone. And if we haven't talked about it yet, I'm just going to touch it briefly so verbiage-wise we're on the same page. I call from your load to contact, I call that rolling to the ball, okay? And rolling to the ball is something you need to practice dry at, 100 times to, inside low, inside high, outside low, middle, low, middle, high. That's something that you should be so acutely aware of how you move it to the ball in all those positions and how your body corresponds to that, just so you know. And then when you do it, after you do it dry, you need to put the tee in those locations and start doing it with the ball that's not moving. And then you need to, you're kind of want to do it like this. You're going to progress the tee as it comes outside. You're going to move it back. You always want to hit the inside ball further out in front of you because you have to turn further. So keep in mind, rolling to the ball is a big thing. A lot of people uh, are always aware of how they're doing it. Elite hitters are always making sure they're doing it right. It's always something that they're checking when they watch their own film. So let's take a look at your initial hand movements, where your bat goes, and then how you roll to the ball, okay? So here we are getting to load. And as you can see, that's quite a process for you. There's a lot of movement in you getting to the load. Again, that's, it's a personal choice on what you do. Again, I recommend you gather all the information you can, but I can assure you this, Caleb, less is more. The, the less movement you have in your swing, the the better your time to impact can be. Whenever something on your body moves, it's because your brain told it to move. So if you're moving backwards, lifting a leg, moving your arms to load, whatever you're moving, your brain is doing that. And that takes away, in my opinion, however minute, it can take away from you just flat out watching the pitcher, watching the pitch, and deciding if it's something you want to swing at, and if you do want to swing at it, your reaction time to swinging at it. So just keep that in mind. When you got a 95 mile an hour fastball coming at you, which hopefully someday you do, my friend, you know, I'm just telling you, less is more. Staying quiet in your swing is it's something it's just widely taught. I mean, a lot of people in youth baseball, they have a lot of extra movement, a lot of funny movement, a lot of non-traditional movements because kids are trying to gain power, and everybody does it differently, just like everything in life. But you're at the age now where you're just starting to refine your swing and improve it and getting serious about doing it, so I believe you should weigh eliminating as much as that rearward movement as you can. But but just remember, in general, less is more. Staying quiet is better, and you've got a lot of movement from here to here, just in your body right there. And again, some elite hitters have had that much movement, but I would, again, we talked about this earlier. I'd recommend more of a 50-50 equal opposite with your legs and load the 90 only. Don't move the torso back so far. So just, real quick, didn't mean to get off topic, but, I would look at trying something of that nature or something closer to that. But anyway, so as we roll the tape and we get to your trigger, your first movement right there, your bat is going behind you. See that? Your bat isn't going rearward. Your bat is being dropped down directly behind you, okay? Okay, your bat is going that direction right there behind you. You're dropping it down and behind you, okay? Instead of rearward towards the catcher, okay? So again, if you remember the snap drill, if you didn't watch it and skipped your lesson, I'm going to ask you to go back and watch the snap drill, which is at the beginning of this tape. I just can't tell you how important that is in the swing. If you roll this one a little bit further, just like I showed you before, you drop it down here, and then it comes rotational. Okay, you're going to have a flatter swing that way. flat swings are going to affect your contact on inside and outside pitches and certain elevations. Yeah, you're going to kill the pitches in the middle of the zone, which you already do, but you're going to have trouble with contact inner and outer. Okay? So that's why I'm really trying to stress the snap drill to all our players, but that's, I think very important with what you got going on. Now, I will say this. When I met you, I don't think conceptually you had an understanding of this. And again, the first day we got together, we worked on that and talked about that. And then I think you saw that taught at the Diamond Sports facility. And I remember about a month ago in the cages, you had what I'm calling a breakthrough moment. I think you understood it and you felt it in your swing and you got better at it, okay? But I still think it needs to be perfected and done consistently. It needs to be done so much that you never do it wrong again. Let's put it that way. So the good news here is that you understand this stuff already. I know you do, and I know you're gonna. But, practicing this stuff until you can't get it wrong has to be the goal of somebody that wants to build a perfect swing, right? So again, my point is that when we first met, you were much more rotational and even flatter because you didn't, you weren't even aware of the concept. But anyway, yeah, you've you've improved there, and here's what I want you to know: you don't do this on every swing, okay? You do this on a lot of your swings, but some swings you're closer to coming rearward with the bat. Okay, so that tells me, like the rest of your swing, it's a consistency thing, and understanding it and putting it all together is all it is. You're not far away from getting a lot better than what you are now, and you're not bad right now. I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but the job of a hitter is consistency. How does a hitter in the major leagues hit 220 and the next guy hits 300? The difference between those players, Caleb, isn't much. Okay, so again, the best thing you can do is keep your eye on the prize, know where you're going, and know what it takes to get there, the things that you need to concentrate on mechanically to improve your swing. You're not far off. If you can become more consistent at the snap drill, get that power V looking a little bit different. The rest of your upper body movements are fine. You hold your head still very well. There's a lot of good things to like about what you got going on. I just think we're a couple tweaks off and understanding a few things off from you being as good as any other 14-year-old in the country. So keep that in mind. So here you are. Attacking appears to be an inside pitch. And you pop it straight up. Okay, no big deal. But that's why I'm asking, when you watch your videos, watch pitch location versus where you hit it. But you see, you drop it backwards behind you for a less amount of time. You straighten it out rearward towards the catcher much sooner than you did on that last pitch, okay? And you can see your bat does get down lower than that other pitch. It's all relative. If you can start it backwards with initial movement, that improves your bat speed and your bat plane by getting it on the Ferris wheel, okay? So keep that in mind.
How much do I add? The rest of it, I use that.
Okay, so here's Mitch Haniger from load. you can just tell the whole rolling to the ball. Again, I described what that means. That's from there to there. His rolling to the ball, it just looks a little different. But you can see his initial movement is rearward with his bat. Again, it's not far from where you're at and what you're doing. Okay, I don't want to make this look like or have you feel that, you know, you're a long ways off there. But you can just tell how quick, precise, and direct to the ball this is with rearward movement in the bat. You basically lay it down behind you, and not always directly behind you. You know, if you're attacking an outside pitch, you're going to be further that way. If you're attacking an inside pitch, you're going to want to be further that way. As far as the direction you lay it down, it all depends on the pitch and where and how you lay it down, of course. But just get a feel for what he's doing there. And another important thing is not just watching the bat here, but watch his hands. You'll see that with these professional players, I mean, the hands are very, very quiet in the load and very still until they go. So okay, I'm just going to roll these and let you look at it. I want to note real quick the position of the elbows. Again, I like the front side of your swing a lot. It's probably pretty close to some other really elite left-handed hitters from the history of MLB. So again, I'm not asking you to change this, but while practicing the snap drill, keep in mind that, you know, a lot of today's hitters are concentrating on getting that elbow higher. So, you know, just remember that, you know, and that's something, you know, all you can do is tinker and see what you like and see what you works until you find the swing. But I just wanted to point that out while I got that on the screen there. So I'll just roll this a little bit more, just so you got something on tape. You can actually take a look at something in slow-mo and compare it. And keep in mind, you know, there's a lot more film I got on you guys. I'm only dissecting a small portion of it, and I'm trying to make an impression on the things that would help you the most. But if you want to look closer at other things or revisit these other things in more detail, all you got to do is let me know, and before or after practice or another time we can get together and go over this stuff so that you can see, you know, whatever you see or want to see. So I really want to quickly point out here, I'm going to put you up with Aaron Judge here and roll these two so you can get an idea of his trigger. But I just wanted to point out again, we talked about it earlier, you are more like Justin Turner in your loaded position, but the movement that you don't get, which is fine if you're, you know, if the rest of your swing is tuned in, but you're not getting movement in the corresponding momentum you get from it and bat speed you get from it, from this red dot to this red dot that Aaron is, okay? So he's got that much more movement to gain speed in his bat speed, in his bat. So again, not a big deal. It's not, it's not going to keep you from becoming a Major League Baseball or finding an elite swing, but it's just something to note and a difference that other people do. So just take that down. But let's just roll you guys nice and slow, let you get a look at how each of you triggers. Okay, so you can see right here, Aaron's movement in his bat is essentially only rearward. There's a little bit of, backward towards his back direction to it, and I mean very, very little. But again, that varies depending on the pitch you're attacking. But the biggest point to make is when he thrusts his hands backwards and pulls and does it all simultaneously. Okay, all these things in the turning of the triangle, that's all in the thrusting of the shoulder and the right elbow, upwards and backwards. That's all one solitary move. But look right there at the amount of whip as his left hands, or his hands turn the corner. The corner is called uh, that because essentially your shoulder here, your hands essentially, it looks like, and I think that's why people ended up calling it this, but it looks like your hands and everything are turning the corner, which is your shoulder. But you can see in his swing where he's turning the corner with the hands, you can see if you were to watch this, in live action, you can see how much right there, how much whip that's giving that bat, that move right there. So if you start the bat too rearward, it's going to, like it does for you, it gives you a lot of whip on a rotational plane and not a downward plane. So you just got to watch how you pull that and how you move the hands back. So something I want you to be aware of. But look how far back, or excuse me, downward his bat's getting, okay? Even though this is an inside pitch at the belt, it's not at the knees, uh, he's getting under it. So you got to get that bat under the ball more so that the bat is on a more upward trajectory. It's a very simple concept, and it's something that you got to work at to get. Let's just roll him. But you can see how high his right elbow is. You can see how hard he's throwing his right shoulder back. Okay, you can see his power V is facing us, more or less, not facing skyward. Okay, here we have you on a down the line view or from the pitcher. Just going to roll this here, let you drink it in. Okay. The first point out is you're not very closed off, or left shoulder more rearward. Or to show you this here, like Aaron Judge, he's more closed off. You can see the shoulders there, okay? The difference that this is going to make in your swing is he's got that much more movement from here to where you're at to gain power and torque in his swing. So a lot of hitting instructors will say you swing with the back or you swing with your chest. What they mean essentially is as you rotate down and then up and back with your chest or back, we'll just say back, your elbows and hands, other than turning the triangle, they really don't move that far apart from each other. They kind of, the elbows and hands kind of stay where they're at. You stay connected and you turn that whole mechanism. Okay? But from right here to here, that's early movement that's giving him more power than you're getting from your swing. So I would investigate getting a little bit more closed off in your swing. Part of that for you, as we saw in the other view of you, if you're going to turn more like Aaron, your hands are going to be further back and a little bit more up towards your armpit. So again, we've seen that Justin Turner is lower like you, and that works for him, but he's getting that extra power out of his swing because we know he has good power numbers. So, but I just want you to see how this looks. You can see where Jace is in his swing, and he's one of our more powerful hitters on the team. And while I've got him up here, so here's Ronnie. You can see how closed off he is just for sample's sake there. So you can see here you're rolling to the ball, but because it's a pitch above the belt buckle, you kind of right here, the bat's kind of becoming horizontally rotational. Okay. You can tell this hit is a good hit. It's in the right direction, but you don't have full power on it. And it's more of a slice hit downward on the ball, not flush, kind of like a golfer's going to do. Again, you've sent it upward, but that's by coming downward on the ball, so to speak, versus being on the same plane and sending it up there because you're flush and swinging that direction. Which all has to do with, I believe, the two most critical things that control this is perfecting the snap drill and rolling to the ball directly with your hands and everything. Okay. So if we take a look at this pitch, we've got an outer half pitch at the belt buckle, and you hit it on the ground at the pitcher. Now you've shown me in some of your swings that you can keep the barrel of the bat behind your hands. Okay. And you do it very well on middle pitches. But this pitch right here, at least in the practice format where you don't have top velocity pitchers throwing the ball at you, you should be practicing hitting this ball over here. Okay? Keeping a proper amount of leg through the swing, releasing the bat, keeping the barrel behind your hands, and sending the ball that way with more power, okay? And again, that is all due to those two things, perfecting the snap drill and taking a more direct path to the ball, okay? So again, I know we've covered this, but in practice, you want to put the ball position right here on the tee. Again, it's going to be further ahead of you on the inside pitches and further behind you on the outside pitches. But you want to take 50 cuts. You just want to get in the cage and take 50 cuts at each one of these positions on the plate in the zone. And you want to roll to the ball correctly and on a direct path. Okay? And that's how you become better and more consistent and reactionary without even thinking about it against live pitching and make the correct swing on the pitch. Now, you're not going to do it every time against live pitching. Not even the pros do. I understand that. But they have these swings in their memory bank and their body can pull it out of them against 95-mile-an-hour fastballs because they practice it so many times. Again, sometimes you're going to get out and around an outside pitch and you're going to hit it well, but at the same time, you're going to hit a predominant amount of the balls in the direction they need to go because you've built your swing that way, okay? Okay, so unfortunately in the taping, I didn't get many swings of you attacking inside pitches, and I understand this one is low and either out of the zone or right at the knees, one of the two. It's really, really close. I'm guessing an umpire might call that a strike. So yes, I'm aware of this. So when it comes to the comparison, I want you to keep that in mind. But if you have a more vertical swing and you're coming down on the ball and you stay legged, you can tell at contact there that you're not in a bad position all, and this is minutia, but your bat head's out in front of your hands. Okay. But if you have a more Ferris wheel versus a merry-go-round swing by perfecting the snap drill and maintaining your leg and your bat, which we talked about in the load and trigger section of your swing, you can see that Sawyer's able to get it on a decent upward trajectory and more up the middle. Okay, the more rotational you get horizontally, the harder it is to send this pitch, gap to gap or closer to the middle. So again, the things that are leading to this is the amount of leg he has in his bat while he's pulling his hands forward, and that's what gets him to that type of thing. So again, your pitch is lower, that's why it's on a lower trajectory when it goes out. I do understand that, but his is, it's kind of close, but it's just a demonstration of what you kind of want to work towards so you have this in your arsenal with the low inside pitch. A majority from the other angle of your inside pitches, you're struggling with contact on those and getting behind the ball and being on the proper path with the ball. You can see Sawyer's hit there. He's, I would say, 100% flush with the ball. And if you look at yours, you're close, but I would say that, it's probably closer to the inner lower portion of your bat than flush. But again, it's minutia. You're not far off. My point here is I just wanted you to see on an inside pitch what a more vertical bat path with better leg looks like. Okay. So we're getting to the end here, bud. We can look at stuff all day long on this stuff. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I enjoy it, but if you want to get together out here and look at other film and more film of yourself and dissect different things, I'm available. All you got to do is ask. But I really, as we put your action plan together and where you need to go, I just wanted to point this drill out. This is what I'm going to call the 10-toe trigger drill. You can see Manny's feet are parallel with the front of the plate, perpendicular to the side of the plate. The point of this drill, it does a lot of different things, but some of the most important things it does is it teaches him to get stretch between, for him, the left hip and the right shoulder. For you, this would be the opposite. So we'll flip it. And you can see that he's getting proper bat leg aimed at the catcher. And this is more exaggerated than he would be in his normal swing because he's got his feet turned in a different direction. But you can see by turning his feet that way and having to turn back and hit the ball, it gives him just a feeling that he can implant in his body, in his mind, of the tension created and the stretch created between those 2 points, okay? The second thing that's important about it is his actual trigger. When he starts to move, that's going to give him more bat speed, more power, more whip. It's going to be just like a rubber band. You're going to let go of the rubber band. The further the rubber band is stretched, the harder and faster the rubber band will go. And it's also very helpful for your load position, just the memory, the muscle memory of getting to that position and using all those triggers. So this is a drill I highly suggest you practice. I would prefer to go over it with you yourself and get it looking the way we want it, and then you can go do it yourself. You know, the detrimental part of doing drills on your own is, are you doing them the correct way to get the most benefit from them? Practicing something incorrectly doesn't help you, obviously, so I'd like to go there with that. I want to point this out. When we talk about rolling to the ball, here's maybe a better demonstration of what I'm talking about. You can see this gentleman is rolling to the ball, high pitch, low pitch. He's just dry swinging to, all parts of the zone. You should really do this drill, do 20 swings and roll to it outside high, outside low, 20 swings outside or inside high, inside low, middle high, middle low, middle inside, middle outside. You should just sit there and dry swing or put the ball on a tee and don't hit it and learn to just roll directly to the pitch. And that's what I'm talking about when I say take a direct path to the pitch where it's at. This is exactly what I'm talking about. All he's doing is laying the bat rearward. He's not moving his hands or pulling the bat behind him. He's just rolling his 90 and the hands come rearward and the bat comes rearward. And now he's using that movement in different locations in the zone So now his brain has a memory bank to draw from when he recognizes a pitch location, and the body naturally moves that way. Again, when he's facing a 95-mile-an-hour pitcher, or you're facing a 68-mile-an-hour pitcher, it gets more difficult and you don't always do it correctly, but the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So again, dry swings, T swings where you stop and don't do contact, and then you move to contact on a tee in different locations, and then you go to soft toss and BP pitching, and in your mind you're working on all that stuff. Okay, that's how you get better at that. And lastly, a drill that I really want you to work on. Again, we've talked about your lower half and how you work it. We've talked about your load and trigger. You're going to see J.D. Martinez, who hit, I don't know what he hit. I don't know if he hit 340, something like that. He had 130 RBIs and 43 dongs, and he has a World Series ring this year. I just first want to point out he records every swing, whether it's in the cage or off the tee or soft toss, every day, all day, and he reviews them daily throughout the season. I don't know what he does in the off season, but he is acutely aware of his mechanics day to day. And again, mechanics aren't everything in a swing, but you do have to get yourself as close to mechanically sound for your swing as you can, and pay attention to them and see how you're doing, see how you need to progress, make sure you don't regress. You know, that's the idea behind taping yourself, is where do I need to go, and make sure I'm not going back to where I was, and study it. You know, that's a huge part. You know, the knowledge of your own swing, the knowledge of what you're after is key. You know, you can't get where you're going if you don't know where you're going. So that's the key in filling yourself with knowledge on both ends of this thing. But back to this drill, he's not moving his feet. He's not leg kicking. What he's doing is he's teaching himself to get maximum torque with the least amount of movement. Now, even though J.D. Martinez utilizes a leg kick, he's doing this to make sure that he's quiet in his swing, he's activating his trigger correctly, you know, he's doing all the things he needs to do. But this drill is highly beneficial in your time to impact. Okay, if you're going to have a pitcher throwing 95 miles an hour at you, you're going to want to be able to go from trigger to contact as quickly as possible, and the least amount of movement, the better. So after you work on the snap drill and becoming direct to the ball and rolling at the ball better and improving your power V, after you become more horizontal, then there's a whole nother world of things out there that we need to work on. Your timing, how you dance with the pitcher, so to speak, what you're looking at on the pitcher to key your movements, all these other things that come into play. Time to impact is, there's a whole nother layer of stuff out there we need to work on, but we need to get you shored up in these other areas first. But I would like you to start working on this drill. Again, I'd like to be there when you initiate it so we know what we're doing and don't get out of whack and practice the wrong thing. So that is something I want you to visit. So that does conclude your lesson. Again, in review, I like where you've come just since since we got together this summer and worked on a few things. But again, I want you to have a roadmap in your head of where you're going. So I want you to study other people, how they do things. There's all sorts of video on our website to do so, or you can go to YouTube directly and look at other hitters that you may be curious about. I highly recommend you continue or start getting through the top hitters average wise in the in the big leagues. That list I gave you all about watching 5 a week, you know, that's how you're going to gain ideas of what other people do and what might work for you. But, you know, I like the direction you're going. I've kind of pointed out some of the things we need to work on. If you want my help, just ask. You know, if you're going to continue on with Alexander, great. He's a great instructor. I've really loved seeing the things that he's taught our kids and the lessons he's had. But take this video, show it to as many people as you can. Go to your high school baseball coach, see what he thinks about it. Get the other Saints coach's opinion. You know, Steven from Diamond Sports, and there's other Diamond Sports instructors. You know, run it by everybody. Everybody's going to maybe have different things or say different things or emphasize different things. But in general, I think a lot of the things that they're going to tell you to work on are going to be similar, and then design your own action plan. And every time you step in the cage, be working on something. You know, what am I working on now? What am I working on in 10 minutes? What am I working on in 30 minutes? What am I working on tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? So, you know, that's how you improve. If you don't know where you're going, you really don't know where you're going to end up. So you got to have something concrete in mind that you're working on. But here's your video lesson. I'm going to attach the other video. Watch that, and your pitching is going to be on here too. If you got any questions, you know, call me, text me, email me, or you know, hit me up at practice button.
Hey, what's up, fellas? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. Today we're talking about hitting drills that we do with all of our players throughout the season. Really important way to kind of work on some of the principles of the swing and get your swing really locked in so that when you get into a game, you don't have to worry about these things. You've already kind of built them into your swing. So the first thing we're going to talk today about is the gather drill or the hover drill. We call it a couple different things. Essentially what you're going to do, you can do this off of a tee, you can do this off of soft toss, off of front toss. It doesn't really matter. We usually start the players off on a tee just because the ball's sitting there and I don't have to worry about anything but what I'm doing. It makes the drill really easy. And then you can kind of progress to a bunch of different things, flip ball, throwing ball, all that stuff. But the drill goes like this. So I'm going to set up in my stance, and then I'm going to take my front foot and I'm going to move it pretty close to my back foot. So from this angle, it's going to be about right here, okay? What I'm going to do from there is whenever I'm ready, I'm going to pick this foot up, but I'm going to try to gather into my back hip or kind of hover the ground with my left foot. I don't want to go like this quickly. So in order to gather, what I want to do is I want to get into good posture. So I'm going to try to push my hips back. It's like somebody grabs me kind of here on the belt buckle and tugs me this way. My chest's going to go over. If you've seen our videos on posture, you'll kind of know the position I'm talking about. If you haven't, go back and check that video out. And so I'm going to be here. I'm going to pick my foot up and I'm going to push my hips out and get my chest over, okay? Good. Even if I start straight up and down, boom, right there. Once I feel gathered into this position, right, now show it from this way again. Get gathered there. I feel like the weight, like I'm collected into this hip right here, okay? Once I get there and I'm hovering the ground, now I'm gonna start to move out to hit, okay? But what I wanna think is, I don't want to fall forward. I want to continue to hover the ground as I move. So I don't want to be here or from this angle because now I'm heavy on my front side and there's no way I'm going to be able to stay behind the ball. I'm going to probably swing down to the ball. I'm setting myself up into really poor angles to be able to create the type of swing that I want. And so I've got to push my hips out, get my chest over, hover, gather. And when I move, I'm still staying centered and I'm still trying to feel like I'm in my back hip for as long as I can. All right? Bang, and then I hit. From this side. okay? So really, really easy drill to do. Seems simple, works on a lot of really, really good things. So being able to get into my back hip, working on having the right posture, working on being able to stay behind the ball as I'm kind of moving out and not diving forward or shifting forward too fast, which puts me in a really, really poor position to be able to then rotate from and stay behind the ball. Once I get here, I'm gonna wanna do this. So we've been able to correct a lot of swing flaws from players just by putting them in a better position and teaching them how to move a little bit better instead of this. Then they're gonna wanna go like that, okay? If I can get into a better position when I land, well, now I can turn better behind the ball and deliver the barrel a little bit better than I would otherwise if I'm in a poor position. So one of the first drills we start out doing with the players, again, probably start out on the tee, and then you can progress to some flips, side flips if you want, front flips, put them on a machine, whatever you want. But just make sure that the tempo, keep the tempo slow, and really feel I've got to gather into this backside a little bit before I go forward. Everybody wants to rush forward to their front side. Tell them to go slow, gather, hover as you move forward, and hit. All right, so let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully this helps you out. I've had a lot of success with players that we've been doing it with for a while. Comment section below if you have any questions. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Share a video with all your friends. Give us a thumbs up. I'd appreciate all of that. Check out our Instagram, Manatee Baseball, our Twitter feed, Manatee9. We're posting videos all the time for you guys. And that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you later.
Show me what you learned, buddy. Coach.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, wait.
Yep, I'm ready.
Guys, as soon as Jace is done, help us pick this cage up.